Hello, listeners. This is Lee Price,
This is Will Ford from Football 365.
and you're listening smartly to At the Bridge Pod, a Chelsea FC podcast, although I would describe it as the Chelsea FC podcast.
Magical from Eden Hazard. Kai Havertz in the Champions League final. Ivanovic! In the middle, it's just behind him. But it's tapped in by Hakim Ziyech. Matic with the ball driver. Matic takes the net off.
It's time for another episode of At the Bridge Pod, your number one Chelsea FC podcast. Coming up on this episode,
we're going to be taking a look at our player rankings for the third time this season. Is Cole Palmer still number one? Yeah, of course he is. Who else is it going to be? Oh, welcome back everyone to another episode of At the Bridge Pod. I'm joined in the virtual room filled with some Lions. I have got Ollie. I have got Chris. It's not. I've just put welcome to the Thursday show. It's not. It's Friday because we playing. But what are you looking forward to this weekend?
I actually have my fiance home at the weekend for the first time in a little while. So we're gonna do some stuff around organising for the wedding and things like that, which is now only a month away, folks.
Wow,
we're almost there.
Wow, bloody hell! I mean, Chris, can you top that?
Yeah, I've actually got something going on this weekend. Yay! Conti Cup final.
Oh yes!
Nice.
Oh yes!
Yes.
Oh, that was actually mine.
Taking my daughter to that, so that's Sunday sorted, and we're actually going with some of her football friends to watch Villa Ladies on Saturday as well. So like a full football weekend.
Oh wow!
Oh,
Football
fab.
never stops. I mean, I'm so glad the women's game have come up trumps this week because the Premier League fixtures are looking a bit bland, like a microwavable meal. I know we've got Man City and Arsenal on Sunday, but a great pudding doesn't make up for a poor main course. But yes,
That's true.
Arsenal Chelsea League Cup final this Sunday at the Molineux. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that Chelsea break this streak because I looked at the form in our last 5 games against Arsenal. It's been a case of every other game the other side wins, and the last time we played Arsenal, we won. So we need to end that streak and get back-to-back wins, especially since it's a cup final. So fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Big game, and if anyone can win it's the women's team.
And if it makes anyone feel better, my daughter is currently on a streak of never having watched her team lose live.
Ooh.
So we're hoping that continues.
Yes. I mean, if we win again this weekend, you've got to get tickets for both Barcelona ties.
Oh no!
Yeah.
I just remember we're playing them as well. I read that. You know what? I read that this morning. I just went, for fuck's sake!
My word!
You've always got to play them, haven't you?
Yeah. Right. News. So that time of the week, we're going to check out the news you may have missed in the elevator at Chelsea news. Ashley Cole has been inducted into the Premier League Hall of Fame. Eden Hazard, Cesc Fabregas and John Terry have been nominated for the class of 2024. Chelsea are set to be signing centre-backs in the summer, according to Fabrizio Romano. Chelsea's ever-evolving medical department is set for another edition, with the club now seeking a new head of performance medicine. And finally, Yacine Benzia, a name you might remember as a FIFA Wonder Kid, scored easily a Puskas contender for goal of the year against South Africa. It was outrageous, it was filthy, and it might be the finest goal I've seen all year. I did retweet it.
It was a very nice goal. We're talking
so
about the one
good.
he sort of flicks it up
yes.
with his back to goal. Oh,
so
yes,
good.
It's very nice.
So good. So good. But other than that, and I'm sure but listeners don't know, but I found a Marco Marin Germany jersey on my travels this week. I didn't buy it. It was £35. Felt that was a bit much. But other than that, what grabbed your attention this week?
I wanted to say congrats to Ashley Cole for rightfully being inducted into the Hall of Fame, the Premier League Hall of Fame. I mean, it's a bit silly it's taken as long as it has, to be honest, because there is absolutely no human being who has ever graced the Premier League who has done a better job at left back than him ever.
No,
so
he's the greatest of all time in the Premier League.
Yeah, it's the biggest gulf in terms of like the peak player in a position that I've seen, probably in the whole Premier League. Nobody comes close, and it's really nice to see that. And I hope the other Chelsea boys can get voted in as well. Terry deserves it. Hazard probably should get one eventually.
Yeah. Do you know what's strange about Ashley Cole though? He was he's the benchmark for left backs in the Premier League. That's what like even current day left backs are compared to. Like he's sort of the poster boy for left backs of the Premier League. He's never really talked about in like a World 11 though, even though he was doing it consistently in the hardest league in the world. No one ever really talks about him as a World 11.
Him and Marcelo played at the same time, like for a lot of their careers, and Marcelo was often seen as like I don't know, maybe like the fancier kind of player. He was more attacking, so he kind of tended to get chosen for those a lot more.
I think you've also got the fact that you got like Maldini and Roberto Carlos, Facchetti. That there's some, he's. I wouldn't pick him over those three names.
I wouldn't pick. I would pick Roberto Carlos over Ashley Cole, but I don't think I'd pick anyone else.
Facchetti is next level. I mean, he's an old school name from like the 60s, but I've got to give props to him. I have. But
Chris has seen him live.
Have you, Chris? Bloody hell! You've had some fun there. I mean,
Ollie.
Oh man!
Every week.
To be fair, this year the Hall of Fame's going to have apparently 3 inductees from the 15 candidates. That's going to be very interesting. I mean, looking at the names now, who I think will get them, it's got to be it's so tough. It's so tough. I mean, John Terry's got to be in there, but then there's literally looking at all the others. You could make a case for every single one.
I think the problem with starting this Premier League Hall of Fame is there is almost an endless list of players who could go in there.
They did it far too late.
Yeah.
I don't mind that there is a lot of players who could go in there, but what I want to make sure is that there needs to definitely be a cutoff point in terms of, otherwise, like you say, it's just kind of a big popularity contest, isn't it?
It reminds me of like with the NFL, there's like the Hall of Fame, and then some players like the argument of would Eli Manning go in, and you think, well, is it the Hall of Fame or the Hall of Very Good? You don't want it to become the Hall of Very Good. You've got to be the best of the best.
To be fair, they messed that up when they put Gerrard in it. Never won a Prem. Champions League legend, no doubt. Never won a Prem. How can you be in the Hall of Fame for the Premier League if you've never won one?
In fairness,
that sounds harsh, and I'm sure Liverpool fans the world over will crucify me for that take, and that's fine. Like, I'm not saying he wasn't a phenomenal player, but just in terms of the Premier League specifically, and he carried that Liverpool team 4 years. I do get it, but you got. But
maybe that should have been the rule. Maybe to get in, you have to have won the league. Maybe that's how they should have done it.
I agree.
But then you've got like Jonathan Greening, he'd be in there because he won a Premier League.
Chelsea.
Look at that niche reference. Oh man, I was just looking at how the NFL one works, and I think they can have like 9 players a year, up to like over that. But I still feel that we should be having more than just 3 names. 3 to 4 names a season. It's just
who else do you think is going to get picked for it, Mikey? Like, who do you think?
Hazard.
I don't think Hazard's going to get picked.
Really?
I really want him to more than anything, but I think someone like Vidic will probably get voted.
Yeah, he's got to be in. Gary Neville as well. Michael Owen, because
you see, like some of these kinds of players, like Gary Neville will get in, and he doesn't deserve it either.
Toure, David Silva. Yeah, I mean they're fair. I mean, I'm just looking at some of the nominations for this year.
Neville should genuinely not even be near that list for me, but that's just me.
Yeah.
You know what's weird? Like, I loved Yaya Toure. I thought he was great. But I've seen a lot of Man City fans who wouldn't even put him in their all-time 11. And yet we're talking about getting into a Premier League. That's
probably because they've never watched him play and then he started supporting them last year.
I think
that's true.
I think it's mainly because of how it all ended with him. It kind of soured everything.
Yeah, it could be that, couldn't it? Yeah.
They didn't buy him a birthday cake, and then he cursed the club until a few years ago.
I mean, we'll look at for me, international break roundup, some selected highlights because we'll be here forever, and we are already over the international break. But we had Petrovic, he played full 90 in a 4-0 defeat to Russia. Mudryk played the entirety of the 2-1 victory for Ukraine, and obviously he contributed with his winning goal, sent them to the Euros. Madueke, he had a 5-1 triumph, scored a goal. And then for the next game, twice and 2 assists and a 7-0 against Luxembourg. Casadei played 85 minutes for the Italian under-21s and scored. Enzo he scored a goal in the first half for Argentina and then played 82 minutes in another win. Chilwell and Gallagher both played for England, but they were subbed at second half during a 1-0 defeat to Brazil. Palmer missed out due to injury. Chilwell played against Belgium. Wasn't great. That's pretty much all I got to say on that. Yeah. Someone did ask me as well, which I wrote up. It's only a quick one, don't worry. You can still skip it with timestamps. What was my thoughts on the Denmark duo of games? The 0-0 against Switzerland was boring. I say no more there. The 2-0 win over the Faroe Islands was a shoulder shrug, as Chris would say. It was, I mean,
expected, surely.
Oh my word! It was just such. Our performances were poor, unbelievable. I mean, I'm expecting Euro 2024 to be shorter than an elevator ride, because there was no the new blood of talent didn't really step up, and I've been calling for Hjulman to put in some fresh faces, and if you can't shine against the Faroe Islands, I've got to worry there. Really frustrating. But hey, we've got a midweek match report, and it's Champions League second leg. Here he is. In the second leg of the match, Chelsea encountered a few hurdles, a few obstacles, despite implementing quite a few changes to their starting 11. The game saw both teams causing problems for each other, with some moments of tension arising for Chelsea. Particularly in the first half, Chelsea's defence struggled to contain Ajax's attack, leading to quite a few nervy moments and occasions. But there was one instance where obviously the ball glazed the woodwork, with the score still deadlocked at 0-0. Pure luck. I mean, it was a clearance from Musovic. It hit the Ajax attacker and it just went past the post. But still, the challenges, they were there. But look, Chelsea managed to assert their threat on target, with Ramirez emerging as the key figure just before the half. A composed finish, beautiful on her debut as well, and it was capitalised on a well-timed pass from Gura Reiten. So fair play for her scoring on her Champions League debut. Despite this lead though, Ajax fought back, levelling the score midway through the second half when Chastity Grant evaded the Blues defence and found the back of the net past Musovic. She had faced some criticism earlier in the game for some errors, but for me, fully redeemed herself with 2 crucial saves later on, denying, obviously, Ajax a victory on the night. And you never know, 3-1, quite nervy, but it wasn't. She maintained the 1-1. That's what was important. Overall performance was a bit scrappy, you could say, but it cushioned. We had the first leg, and that pretty much cushioned any tension. Full-time whistle. We've progressed into the semi-finals, and now we have a huge game ahead, where we take on the reigning European champions Barcelona. Chelsea won, Ajax won. Semi-finals, that's all that matters, Chris, isn't it?
Yep. It was a typical second leg when the tie was over after the first leg.
Yeah.
I think both teams knew who was going through before the second leg even kicked off. So it was just played out that way. I don't think Ajax came with any real belief that they was going to overturn that deficit. And I think once we scored the first goal, I think we just conserved energy. And it would have been nice to win the game, but ultimately it really doesn't matter. Like
from the tie, that's
anyway. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Ramirez was on fire for me. I mean, a goal on her Champions League debut, played with flair. There was a lovely nutmeg in the second half. It reminded me similar how it wasn't quite the same, but it was almost like the Berbatov spin. It was so lovely. It was just nut straight into the box. It was lovely. Another standout for me was Erin Cuthbert. Solid. I kind of felt she deserved a bit of a rest though, because she has featured in every game during this like March madness we've had. We've had 45. She had 45 against Leicester, 90 against the Arsenal, 84 against Ajax first leg, 35 against West Ham, and then the full night against Ajax. And we've got the League Cup final this weekend where she will likely start. Ooh, I mean, I don't know. I think I know it's you respecting Ajax and all that, but I kind of felt that could have been the game to rest her for the League Cup final. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, I think that does make sense. I think I think Cuthbert's one of those players though who just wants to play, and maybe she's one of those players where she's at her best when she's constantly playing. I think sometimes you do get that with certain players who they don't like being rested, and it can upset their rhythm. I think she might be one of them because she so rarely gets a rest, and there's got to be a reason behind it because a lot of the other players do get rested. There's not many others in the team who haven't had a rest this season. So I think it must be something that maybe Emma Hayes knows that's how what she has to do with her to get the best out of her, and she's certainly doing that because I think she's been outstanding. I think she's been outstanding for a really long time now, but this season especially, I think she's really really carrying the midfield.
Yeah, I mean, even Neve Charles got a rest, and she never gets a rest. I mean, it was like, I mean, there is one thing I will bring up because I absolutely love Musovic and love her story and everything else, and she pulled off a top save, 2 ridiculous saves, and it was crucial to keep that score the way it was. Many are going to point to the 2 mistakes. One led to a goal. That's fair enough, you need stronger hands there, but whatever. The second mistake, which happened quite early, I kind of don't think is 100% on her because Cuthbert's put her in a difficult situation with the back pass that essentially gave Ajax a pretty much free run at the goal. So she's left in a decision where I've got to come off my line. And it's just one of them for me where the ball rebounded off a player that, it nearly into the net, but 9 times out of 10, that ball does not hit the player. It just goes straight up the field. And for me, overall, I'm of the view that Musovic's performance is probably attributed to her limited game time for the Blues because, look, she's the primary goalkeeper for Sweden. She typically does show a higher level of confidence and proficiency when she's regularly involved in matches back to back. I mean, I'll give you a question here. Do you know when she last played for Chelsea before last night? No, it wasn't last night. It was the night before.
2022.
2022.
I don't know.
Bloody hell! No, it's a bit more recent.
she was the goalkeeper at the start of the season, wasn't she? So I don't know. September
30th of January against Paris FC in that group game.
Yeah.
I mean, overall though, she had a good game for me. I mean, 4 crucial saves to me sort of redeems that mistake. She learned, she adjusted a game. That's a top player. I know someone's going to point to us at what would you not tolerate in a win? Look, 4 crucial saves. 4 crucial saves outweighs that for me. Because
that's fair enough. Yeah. To be fair with Musovic, I think she's little bit a victim of circumstance because Hannah Hampton's been so good.
So good. We are very fortunate right
honestly, now. We really are. Hannah Hampton is genuinely unbelievable. That girl could play in midfield. She's absolutely unbelievable with her feet, as well as being a top keeper as well. So it's just that Musovic, I think, it's one of those unfortunate timings in someone's career where you've actually got 2 very good players in the same position who can't play at the same time.
Yeah. Right, listeners, cast your minds back to the 5th of January of this year. It was National Whipped Cream Day, and Chelsea were heading into a League Cup semi-final, and that was when we did our last attempt at the player rankings, and since we naturally seem to be doing it every 2 months, so yeah, let's check in on them. Who's risen, who's fallen out. I mean, this will be very interesting, and I've got some surprises. I think everyone's looking, going, who's number 1? You know who's number 1. You don't even need to guess. It's Sanchez. It's Sanchez. So I'm going straight in. For me, actually. Don't worry, I'm not doing all the sound drops this time. So,
what? Number 15.
Number 15. Number 15. It's a new entry. It's the new Alfie Gilchrist. It's Carney Chukwuemeka, who's now injured, but I mean, he's been bringing some bit of excitement. So for me, I feel that he is that new Alfie Gilchrist. You see him come on, you're like, yes, something's going to happen. So that's why
we won't see that again for.
We're not going to see. Yeah, he's 15. I'm really happy he's in that spot. Chris, we'll go Chris, Ollie, and then me and repeat. Chris, who's 15 for you?
Same as last time. Madueke hasn't gone up. hasn't gone down. Holding steady. Hasn't been any more important, but hasn't been any less important than it was in January.
Wow. Oh man. Ollie, what about yourself?
I really struggled with making this list, so I've put Cucurella in 15th.
Okay.
He's looked pretty promising since he's come back from his injury, arguably more so than Chilwell with his bad form, and he's not even in my list, I don't think. So
Wow.
yeah, so, fair play to you, Mark.
Wow. Number 14. Previous ranking.
Number 14.
The previous ranking was 14. It's my man. It's Noni Madueke. He could rise up next time. I feel he's going to get a run in the team. That'll probably age poorly, but I feel he might get a chance. So that's my pick, Chris.
This is, I think, the biggest faller for me. He was third last time, and he's all the way down at 14th now. Christopher Nkunku.
Wow.
I can't put him any higher because, I mean, we haven't seen him play.
Yeah, I'm surprised he's in your list at all. He's out of mine.
Yeah,
I'm not going to lie. He could have dropped out altogether, but I think it was actually hard to find 15 players who are important.
I know. I was doing the same this week. I was like,
I was definitely after 10. I was struggling for sure.
Wow, I was struggling at the top 6. That because it's one of them where you're thinking, where do they rank? Where do they rank in that 6 to 15 bracket? So, yeah. Right, Ollie, who have you got?
In at 14, new entry for me. It's Trevor Chalobah.
Forgot about him.
Since a lot, he's kind of come in and stepped up a little bit when other players haven't. I mean, again, this is more of a thing of struggling to find anybody who really could have fit in that spot. But more than anything else, because we've just had so many injuries, people haven't been playing, and he has been playing, and he's been playing, reasonably all right. I would personally still put him back firmly on the bench when our other centre backs are fit again, if our centre backs are ever fit again. But yeah, I think he deserves his flowers for coming in after being out for 7 months, and he's come in and he's done reasonably okay.
Yeah, that's fair. At number 13, previous ranking was 9. Raheem Sterling. I mean, we did a whole episode on what the hell has happened there. And that alone is kind of why he's fallen from 9th to 13th. He is still in my top 15 because...
mine.
Well, hang on. I have a good reason. I will point to Chris and go, who else is going to play in that 11 there?
Yeah.
Someone's going to shout a lot of names, but still...
That's why he's still in mine.
That he's there. He's there. He can't fall out the top 15 yet. I mean...
No, he's out. He's out of there for me. He gone.
Chris, who is it for you?
He gone.
Again, quite a large faller from 7 down to 13, and someone who could play in Sterling's position, Mudryk.
Interesting.
Interesting.
I think some people are getting really carried away with this whole. Isn't he so much better at number 10? I don't think there's enough evidence to suggest that yet. It was difficult for him to look worse at number 10 than he does on left wing. So I don't think he set the bar overly high for his performances to improve. I just think this isn't really down to him, but until we see him in there for a number of games in that position performing, I don't think you can say, I think he's really good at number 10. I just think he's one of them players where at the minute he just seems like someone who will be around the squad but never be overly relied on.
Okay. Ollie, what have you got?
At number 13, I've got your man, Noni Madueke. He's come in, he's doing his bits, and he's scored a wonderful goal recently, and he seems to be making an impact where someone like Sterling really wasn't. And so if I've got him there at 13th and Sterling was in my list last time at number 14th, he's just dropped completely, because for me he had a massive drop, and if we kept going past 15, I don't think he'd be in the top 25 for me.
Wow.
So I'm not happy with him, but Noni gets my 13th spot.
Number 12, previous ranking for me 3. It's Christopher Nkunku. I mean, this dude is crucial to our future. Yes, he is, but injuries have sunk him quicker than I down a Jaeger bomb. I have nothing else to say. I'm gutted. I want to see him play, and I can't. It's sad.
Yeah,
Chris.
Levi Colwill. I don't even know if I had him in the list last time. Oh, I did. Yeah, I had him at 14 last time, so he's gone up a little bit. And I think, again, I really struggled with this sort of bottom five. I think he's in there just because he has got potential, and he did show before he got injured again that he was stringing some good performances together. So he's in there.
Okay, Ollie.
I think this is going to be controversial. I've put Thiago Silva in at number 12.
Interesting.
Just because he's just hasn't played since our last ranking. He's dropped out of the team. The team's kind of moved up, and he's barely played. And I know our performances haven't been great, but our results have really improved since he dropped out of the team. And I feel really bad for saying that because I really like Thiago Silva, but that is kind of the fact of the situation for me, and the fact that he hasn't been playing, even Chalobah's been playing over him, really kind of for me represents how much in terms of like the seniority of the squad he's kind of fallen down in terms of like the what do you call it, like the depth chart, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Number 11, it's Ben Chilwell. Previous ranking was 11. I mean, left back wise, when he's good, he's good. When he's bad, he's really bad. And Cucurella has only just come back, so I didn't feel that Cucurella could get in yet. So that's why. Chris?
New entry for me is Mark Cucurella. And that's mainly down to a little bit what he showed when he came back. I think he was been pretty solid in his recent performances, and also down to the absolutely god awful form of Ben Chilwell. And I think you're looking at left back, and Chilwell has been so poor since he came back that if we didn't have Cucurella, you'd be worrying about Chilwell playing there every game. And I think that's what
the frustrating thing about that
this
is
high for me.
We started the season with 4 left backs, and we're getting rid of the 2 that are probably the promising and the best, and keeping the 2 that we can't get rid of. And it just seems like a mistake, doesn't it?
Right, who have you got, Ollie?
Number 11, I've got Axel Disasi. Last time he was 11th. This time he was 11th. He's not moved. But you know what? That's just because I'm generally happy with his performances mostly. Apart from that one pass to Sanchez. Other than that, he's been solid, dependable, played the most minutes for us, deserves to be in the top 15.
Fair play. Number 10, top 10, previous ranking 10. It's Mudryk. It'd be harsh for me to drop him. It'd make no sense for me to rise him up, so he sits at 10. Chris?
Yeah, my number 10 is also the same number 10 as I had last time. Enzo Fernandez. Again, hasn't gone up, hasn't gone down, just he's the same player that he was in January.
You can clip that, listeners. Chris? No, not Chris. Ollie.
Number 10, I've got Colwill. He was 12th last time for me, so the same as Chris, he's kind of had a little upgrade. I think it's just at the back, we're just so thin at the moment, and like having him out of the team, you can kind of really see that that's affecting the defense in a bad way, especially covering on that left-hand side. So yeah, he goes up a bit in my estimations for that.
Okay, number 9 is a new entry. It's Axel Disasi. I mean, this guy's never even been in my top 15. No idea how that's possible, because when he's good, he's bloody good. When he's bad, yeah. He's bad. But hey, the crowd surfing against Palace kind of sealed his top 10. So I'm sorry that you weren't in my top 15 ever, but there you are. Chris, who's in your 9th spot?
Thiago Silva. He was 5th last time and he's dropped to 9th now, mainly for the same reasons as what Ollie said earlier. But I still think he gets in my top 10 still, because I think since he came out, I don't think the other centre-backs have played as well as they do next to him.
Okay.
Which shows
that's a fair assessment.
He does still have an importance. I still think, personally, I still think he should be playing over Chalobah. I'd rather have Thiago Silva starting than Chalobah, but whatever.
Right, Ollie.
He's actually gone up a little bit in my estimations. He was 13th last time. Now he's 9th. It's Enzo. It's not a big jump, but I slightly disagree with Chris that he's the same player as he was in January. I don't know. He feels like he's connecting a few goals now in his game. I don't know. It just feels like he deserves a little bit of a press up. A little bit of an upgrade in that way. I just feel that he's kind of slowly starting to get there. I feel like every game he is affecting the game a bit more, and I just hope he continues on that trajectory.
Yeah, I can, and that's why previously ranked at 12. He's Enzo at 8 for me. The At the Bridge pod apparently have a narrative against this guy, they say. And yet here he is. He's rose 3 spots to 8th. He's still in Chris's top 15. He's gone
Rose
up in...
4 spots for me.
Exactly. The thing is, we need him. When he plays well, he's key to the team. That's it. Chris?
My number 8 is Raheem Sterling. We've spoke about him a lot, but I still think I'm pretty sure he's still 3rd or 4th in the list of our most goal involvements this year. So if you take him out, then we are still losing stuff from the team. You know, we spoke about the Leicester game, as absolutely god awful as he was, one of the worst individual performances I've ever seen. Still got an assist. It's those sort of things with Sterling that you can't really knock him for. His numbers aren't that bad.
You know what? You are spot on. He's 3rd in the list with 9. And it gets even better. He's matching his expected goals and expected assists at 9.2. So he's literally performing to standard. Fair play. Ollie, who have you got?
Yeah, I'll reserve my words. In 8th, I have Mudryk. He's actually, that's a drop for me. He was actually as high as 4th last time for me.
Wow.
Because, you know, I was just really liking the impacts he was making on games. And do you know what? And I still stand by that. He does seem to impact games in big moments. And that is an important factor, you know, in being a big game player. You know, look at the 90 plus that he's just sent his country to the Euros.
Yes.
You know, like he's that kind of player, thrives in big moments.
Yeah.
But he has not been as good, especially out on the wing, like Chris has said. And for now, I think he's kind of being shoehorned in attacking mid, and I like him there, and it gives him some more freedom. And I like more of what I've seen when he has played there than when he's been out on the wing. But that more than anything feels a little bit like a failure on his part, you know, to not be able to make an impact out there. And I don't know, as well in the attacking mid, it's not the biggest thing, and it's the kind of opposite of Gallagher, because Gallagher presses and his technical prowess in that attacking mid role isn't the best. Mudryk's the complete opposite, where he barely presses at all, but his technical aspects are pretty good. So you sort of end up with the opposite problem, where players then, it's a little bit easier for teams to play out against our press, because Mudryk isn't, for one of the fastest players I've ever seen, he doesn't always know when to press very well.
That's fair.
So it has a little bit of a downgrade for me because of his situation, but I still rate him personally.
Okay. Number 7 is a re-entry. It's Levi Colwill. He charted in at 6 in my first rankings of the season, and then he fell out the top 15 altogether last time. You guys always had him in yours. That was a big mistake on my behalf. I was ignorant. I was naive. And Levi has played nearly every game since, and I'm sorry I removed you. I will make sure I don't do that again, but I probably will anyway. Chris?
Big riser for me, actually. From 12th to 7th is Petrovic. Again, I think partly down to his own performance, the fact that he's been quite solid. I like what I see in him as a goalkeeper. Haven't really seen him concede a goal yet where I thought, you've got to be doing better there. He's just a good, solid goalkeeper. And the alternative is Robert Sanchez. And I'd rather have one of us in goal at the minute, I think.
Ollie, who have you got at who have you got at 7?
I've got Moises Caicedo. It's a up of 2 for me. He's gone from 9th to 7th, and he started out as 11th. Now, the first time we did this, he was at 11th, then he was at 9th, now he's at 7th. So he's slowly just moving up a few at a time. And that's because I think his performances are just getting better and better, and he's doing it quietly. He's just doing under the radar, cleaning things up, making things happen. I'm happy to see him slowly rising into the player we all know that he can be, and it does feel like he's getting better all the time, which you can't say for a lot of this list.
Yeah.
So for me, that general upward trajectory must continue.
Right, number 6, Moises Caicedo, previously hit 8. Quietly does his job, quietly rises up our rankings each time, and that's why he's in at 6. He might be number 1 next time. Who have you got at 6, Chris?
I'll be honest with you, my top 6 was really done on availability. Something a lot of Chelsea players don't have.
That is fair.
So I've got in at 6 Axel Disasi. I
Fair
know
enough.
people are going to say that's too high because he's not that level centre back, but he's always available. And I don't know where we would have been this season if he'd got as many injuries as the rest of them. We would have been in real trouble. He's been an ever present. I think his performances on the whole for first season, I think has been decent.
Right, Ollie.
Number 6 for me is Carney Chukwuemeka,
Wow.
who actually wasn't in
that's
the.
high.
I know.
That
It hasn't been in the team up until now. Sorry, hasn't been in my list at all up until now because he's been out for so long.
Wow.
But do you know what? When I've seen him play this season, he's always looked like being a massive difference maker. And I really reserve the judgment a lot. I really reserve the judgment a lot of the time on doing these lists to pick players who are injured a lot. But when he does play, you can see it. Like he is a needle mover. He is a difference maker. Like no one else, I think, maybe even in the entire squad would combine with Palmer in the way that he did to score his goal against Leicester. And I was thinking about that and seeing that and thinking, yeah, this kid is something different. He's something else. He's not necessarily just one of the wonder kids we signed. Like when we did sign him, he was breaking into the Villa first team at the time. He's a very, very good player, and he deserves to be recognised for that. For me,
top 5, Georgi Petrovic. He was 7th, now he's 5th. Do you want Sanchez in? No, you don't. We move to Chris.
Yeah. Good. But coming up from 8th previously to 5th now is Moises Caicedo. I actually think he's been quite impressive. Can still improve quite a lot. I still don't like the partnership in midfield, and I don't like the way that they don't control games, and he's a large part of that as well. But for the stuff that he is doing, breaking up the play, his passing range is pretty good. He's spotting forward passes now. He has definitely improved as the season's gone on.
Yeah, right.
And he's always available.
Yeah, that's true. Ollie?
Number 5 for me is also Petrovic. Do you want Sanchez in? No, you don't. Let's move on.
Right, number 4. Previous ranking of 6th. And I don't actually have a statement to read out because you know exactly why he's in the top 4. Nicholas Jackson. He is quietly having a very good campaign, especially for his first season in the Premier League. I'm very happy with him. I said we'd miss him when he went away to AFCON. We missed him. He's come back. He's playing quite well for us. I'm very happy that he's our starting player. Chris, who have you got?
I've got, and I was just looking at, he was in my list last time. Yeah, he was 9th. Now he's 4th. Malo Gusto.
Oh, lovely.
He is the main reason why Reece James is not in my top 15. I know James has been injured, but I also think his importance has just dropped anyway because of how well Gusto's playing. That actually I'm at a point now where even if James come back, you think you can't drop Gusto. So I don't 100%. Know. James, it just isn't as important anymore. And that is largely down to the fact that Gusto has been so impressive. The fact that he's only 20 years old, I just don't think he's being spoken about enough either. Like I've seen some tweet the other day about who's going to win Premier League Young Player of the Year, and that Connor Bradley from Liverpool was on the list, and but Gusto wasn't. And I thought, well, Gusto's been more impressive, and they're the same age. So everyone acts like Gusto's like 26, but he's not. He's 20.
It's because he looks about 48.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. That's why Reece James is also not in my top 15. He's fell out. But Ollie, who's your number 4?
It was 5th last time for me, so he's gone up one. It's Nicholas Jackson. I'm very happy with him as our starting striker. In fact, he's probably one of my favourite players in a long time at the club. I really, really like his tenacity. I like his attitude. I like just the way he plays. I like that he's a problem for defenders. I just really like his all-round game. And the goals are starting to come, and like it's not like they haven't really been coming all season, at least a little.
Yeah.
It just feels to me now that as he gets on with the season, he's just bringing it all together. And we really need that from our striker. And if it was up to me, I think he should start next season too.
Yeah. Right. Number 3, previously at 5, Malo Gusto. I tweeted last year that in the 23-24 season, Gusto would become one of the best right backs in the Premier League. I hit that out of the park like Mjolnir. What a prediction. I don't often get many, but I'm taking that one. And that is why he's third. And that does mean that we all know who my top two are, but that does mean Thiago Silva has fell from third to not in my top 15.
Oh, that is...
Wow.
I'm so sorry, but his wife did say a change was needed, and I
know I dropped him to 12, but at least he's still in the list.
It is just out. Yeah, I will quickly go through my top two just because we might as well do our top threes now. Gallagher's at 2 because I'm going to be gutted when we sell him, but he's still 2. And number 1 is Cole Palmer. I say no more. He's not. It's still vital, and yeah, without him, we're screwed. So, Chris, who's your top 3?
At third, I've got Nicholas Jackson. I'm kind of with Ollie. I think he's one of my favourite players in this squad. I like everything about him. I think his attitude all season's been fantastic. Even when he was going through a bad spell, it looked like he's got the right sort of personality to cope with the pressure of being Chelsea's striker. I think his goal return isn't as bad as people are making it out to be. We'd all want a 20 goal a season striker, but to ask that of him in his first season was unrealistic anyway. And I think you've seen the importance of him when he wasn't here. So that's why he gets third for me.
Yeah.
Second, Conor Gallagher. I'm with you, Mikey. I think selling him will be the biggest mistake we make this summer. People are saying that it won't be, but there's literally no one in our squad to replace him. Yes, Chukwuemeka could come in and is probably more technically gifted.
And he'll go out again.
He won't play more than 2 games before getting injured. Romeo Lavia, I'm pretty sure just isn't a footballer anymore. So
that's
he
he's
might
an
not
NFT.
even be. Yeah, he might not even be here next season. So I just think Gallagher is one of those players where I don't think he'll be truly appreciated until we sell him. And I think next season, everyone who has slagged him off this year will be turning round and saying, I think we should have kept Gallagher,
Yeah.
A bit like what's happened with a lot of the fan base on Jorginho.
He's been really good at Arsenal.
Yeah, was one of the most hated players, and I don't think he was appreciated for what he brought. And then there's been games this season where I've seen a lot of fans go in, I think we needed someone like Jorginho in there today just to control the tempo of the game. And I think Gallagher will be one of them. And then number 1 is Cole Palmer.
Yeah.
I mean, his numbers alone.
Yeah.
Speak for themselves.
Yeah. Ollie, who's your top 3?
Okay, so third, I've got Conor Gallagher. He actually drops a space for me from second to third. I know it sounds like sacrilege. I know.
Ollie's on the board. Look.
and
I just got it. Oh, no.
Thank you.
At the end of the season, Gallagher will be 13th and he'll be convinced that we do not need him next season.
No. It's nothing to do with that. I actually just feel like his performances have just dropped an inch in the last couple months. Like I just feel that he hasn't just not quite been at the same push that he was on before, where he was winning everything. I think it's just a bit of fatigue going into the later stages of the season because he's played so much and for how important he's been for us. But I personally will be gutted when we sell him as well. I will be sad about it. I realise we probably will have to sell him, and that sucks too. I just hope it's not like to Spurs. That would be the worst thing.
It will be. We all know it.
It will be Spurs. Yeah.
Right. Second for me is Malo Gusto. I've been so impressed with him. He's been consistently high up in my lists all season, more or less. I just think he's absolutely brilliant. He's statistically, he's the 4th best right back in Europe. Statistically.
Wow.
And it's not like you're just looking at stats for the sake of stats. You watch him play, he passes the eye test with flying colours.
Yeah,
and like you say, Chris, he's only 20 years old. It's absolutely unbelievable what this kid is doing. He is he's really a big reason, like you say, why Reece James isn't in the team at the moment, and that hasn't been rushed back and has actually been allowed to rest. It's going to help everyone in the long run. And I think when Reece James is back, I think you have to find a way to play him and Gusto in the same team. I don't care if you have to push Gusto higher. I don't care if you have to play Gusto on the left. I don't care if you have to play Gusto where he normally plays and James plays in midfield or as a centre back. I don't care. But both of them at their top level take this club up a level. And to put Gusto in the same level as that for Reece James, or at least in a level where he's affecting games as much as James was when he was at his best, is really, really impressive. And finally, number one is Cole Palmer. I mean, what more can you say? Really?
Yeah, that's fair.
He's just absolutely phenomenal. What a kid.
Yeah, right. That's our top 15 for now. I'm sure that will change at the end of the season. We'll see. We'll see. Line of the week. We're welcoming Burnley to the Bridge. It's at 3 p.m. And who are we all choosing?
Go on, Chris.
No,
pick someone in your list at least.
Yeah. Let's go with someone who's not in the top 15. Let's go with Nicholas Jackson.
Nice.
He played well against Burnley last time. Scored that really good goal. So I think it'll be quite an open game, which sort of suits Jackson as well.
Well, guess who the wheels picked? It's picked Enzo. So look at that. No narrative here. Not at all. What about you, Ollie? Who've you got?
I'm going to go a bit boring, but I really think he will have a very, very good game. I'm going to go for Cole Palmer.
Fair enough. Well, fair enough.
If he plays, because apparently he does have a little knock. So,
he's out then for 2 years. Right. Quaresma's questions. We've got a Discord special today with our two. First up is Big Tornado, who's asked, considering we've lost in the final of the Carabao Cup and our league standing is pretty poor, if Chelsea were to not win the FA Cup and finished in the bottom half of the table, will Poch's job be under question? And if so, who would you like to see him replace him?
I think that would be like a staggering failure. If we didn't win the FA Cup and we finished in the bottom half, that would be absolutely horrendous. We have to get a European competition this season. Ideally, we win the FA Cup as well. Even though it's a difficult path now to get there, we at least have to believe we can win it. If he would, I think if he did that, he'd be rightfully sacked. And my heart says that my head says I hope we get in someone who, kind of would understand the identity of the club and would kind of be a coach that could really match alongside some of these players. I would really like someone like a Thiago Motta, a Cesc Fabregas, even a Nagelsmann. I've kind of come around on him too, or Amorim. But I have an increasing fear every day that it will be Roberto De Zerbi.
No. No, we're not doing that. Chris, what do you think?
I mean, that would be a terrible season. I think anytime you finish in the bottom half would be awful. I still wouldn't want to see him sacked. I've completely turned around on this. And that's mainly due to the fact that I don't trust our owners to replace him properly. I'm with Ollie. I think they would go for De Zerbi or Gareth Southgate or someone stupid like that.
That would be horrible. And
I just think I am sort of on board now with, I do think you are seeing semi-progress as the season goes on in the team.
I see the argument for sure. Just leave him in another season. See how far he can get with these players when he's known for kind of developing players as well in his second season, and all of that.
It's a bit like the Nicholas Jackson thing, like you mentioned earlier, Ollie. I think maybe just give him the next season as well and see if he does develop and see, rather than going and buying a striker, just give Jackson that, other clubs have done that before where they've backed someone to develop and then they have. And we've never really done that. We've had if someone isn't great straight away, we normally get rid of them and bring someone else in.
That's why I'm like,
maybe now it is time to just back them.
Like the time I think is now for that kind of strategy now. We've just got to be doing that because otherwise we're just going to be spinning our wheels for the next however long until we land on a random player or random assortment of players who can get us to the top again. And that'll be one, expensive and two, unsustainable. So
yeah, I genuinely don't believe Pochettino will be fired whatever happens this season. I won't put a biscuit on it, but I'm confident to put the packet of hobnobs in my basket.
Put your biscuits where your mouth is.
Look, I'm gonna go hot Del Horno hot take here early. I was hearing a debate on another pod, and I kind of felt I sort of resonated a bit. I kind of also sort of believe a bit that managers often maybe get a bit more credit than they deserve. I mean, look at Guardiola. He's arguably the best manager in the world right now. And he's even said that the secret to him being, the way it's so good is good players help you succeed. And if he's stating that he's relying heavily on the talent at his disposal, you got to sort of think, okay. I know, obviously, let's not get this out of proportion here. A manager does bring multiple things, leadership, team culture. You shape the team, the tactics, and as a unit, and obviously player development and everything. I totally understand that. But I'll kind of put a question within the question segment. Do great players make the manager look good, or does a great manager elevate the players?
Both. Surely.
Yeah, I mean, I actually wrote my own answer down. It was probably a bit of both.
I mean, it is definitely both. I think any manager realistically is only as good as the players he's working with. There are some managers out there who elevate players to levels that they should never get to. I think Mourinho is one of those where he can take a collection of players who should never hit the heights that he gets them to, and they wouldn't without him. But then you still need good players in there. Even his famous Inter Milan team that sort of underdogs still have players like Sammy Eto'o in it. So it's like, it wasn't a bad team. You'll never get. I think the only time I've ever seen it was when Ranieri won the league with Leicester. It's the only time I've ever seen a manager elevate a group of players way beyond their actual ability. But it's so rare. Top managers work with top players, and top players work under top managers. That's how it works. So it's both. You can't really have one without the other.
I mean, I've never known a team of bad quality players succeed despite having like a world-class manager, but we have seen a team of high quality players succeed under like an average or a poor manager. And I quickly looked up some evidence just in case. Chelsea was so prominent on this list. Avram Grant took us to second, multiple cup finals and a penalty kick away from Champions League. Di Matteo won us an FA Cup and a Champions League. Quality players again, manager hasn't been great since. Pardew took Newcastle to fifth. Armin Vey won the Bundesliga with Stuttgart. Wande Ramos at Sevilla. Just look at what their fan base think of him.
Yeah.
Brian Robson at Borough. That's quite a throwback when they had Janino. You could argue Villas-Boas at Porto. Ruud Gullit again, he won an FA Cup with Chelsea. Great players again, and he hasn't done a lot in management. So that's kind of...
I think a lot of it boils down to a lot of those managers on that list, like especially sort of Di Matteo's sort of the standout. It's how you manage the players as people.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's so important. And
people always forget that.
And I do think,
don't they? A lot of it is around.
They really do.
A lot of it is around personalities and trying to get on with people, and that's how you get the most out of people, by motivating them to work hard.
100%.
Yeah, and to be fair, that is another reason why I'm in the sort of let's give Poch another season camp, because in what has been another really disappointing season, I haven't heard grumblings from the players that they're upset with him.
That's a good point.
The squad still seem on board with what he's doing. So
and if they're buying in,
he hasn't lost the players.
Yeah, that's true, man.
Yeah, and it's no coincidence that we've seen the better results come since the club has been more stable.
Yeah, that's fair. Right, second question. Forkbeard215 asks, with the saddening news about Lavia, could you guys talk about your opinions on his future? Should he stay and rehab with us, try to make it back to the first team, or should he go out on loan, regain that fitness at a club where there's less pressure to perform? If he moves to another club, he's going to have a better medical team, it seems.
If he moves to another club, he'll get better.
Look, due to the fee we paid, I expect a loan would just not happen. I mean, especially if Gallagher's sold, that'd be two midfielders we would need to bring in. I mean, you chuck in all this PSR, FFP bullshit carousel. It's unlikely he's going to leave the club on any basis. I mean, I still feel we need a full investigation into our medical department and the training drills. I mean, that's been a problem now for 2 seasons, especially under this ownership. It's been a problem. I mean, I don't know, players being rushed back too soon, train drills too physically demanding, combo of both. Actually, you know what? It probably is. It's probably all the bloody games that keep getting added to the schedule, wearing down everyone. I mean, we've
I have
got
an interesting theory for that, though.
Euros, Olympics, Club World Cups next summer.
I've got an interesting theory for why our players are getting injured so much. I've seen it a couple times, but I've not seen it like widely thought about. We've bought a lot of young players. A lot of those players are still actually physically growing. You know, like they're getting taller, they're getting faster, they're getting stronger all the time because they're still not at the point in their lives where they're not growing, where they stop growing yet, a lot of them. And so someone like Lavi has grown 2 or 3 inches since we signed him a year ago. I wonder if it's his body and his joints aren't just quite caught up with like how fast he's grown yet. I think for me, there's an incredible player in there. And in my opinion, he has the potential to be the best midfielder at the club. I know that sounds like a crazy thing to say when he's barely played for us, but I just really believe in the kid's ability. I think he's really, really stellar.
Okay. What about you, Chris?
Well, firstly on Lavia, I have never seen a player have such a good season without playing. I honestly, people really rate him without ever seeing him kick a ball for us. He played like half an hour against Crystal Palace.
Well, you can only go off what you've seen of him, and what we've seen of him when he wasn't injured was good. And I don't mean the 30 minutes here. I mean at Southampton.
At another club, though, that did ultimately get relegated. So he weren't that good.
But they did the double over us.
Of course they did. Everyone does that. I just think with him, I literally can't judge him until I see him actually play. I honestly can't, because what he did at Southampton, as we've seen with Caicedo to a degree, means absolutely diddly when you come to Chelsea, because the pressure's so much higher. You have a bad game at Southampton, outside of the radius of Southampton, no one's talking about it. You have a bad game at Chelsea, it's national news, and it's everywhere until the next game. And those sort of pressures do have a toll on players. On the injuries in general, though, I think Christian Pulisic's comments this week was quite interesting when he was asked about, since he left Chelsea, not being injured as much, which has happened with a lot of players that we've sold, let's be honest. And he said it was down to the fact that he's having a run of games now, so his body's getting more used to the demands of playing. So the more you play, the fitter you get, is ultimately what he was saying. And I do think there's something in that. I think a lot of our injury problems started since we didn't have a squad that had nailed on starters in it. And I don't think it's a coincidence that you look at our fittest players this year in terms of availability. It's Cole Palmer, Gallagher, Enzo, Caicedo, players who don't get dropped. They don't get dropped because there's no one else to play anyway. So they just play every game, and they haven't got injured. The ones who get injured a lot are the ones who are coming in and out of the team. Like Chukwuemeka, he comes in, he plays a game, then he gets dropped, and then he comes in and plays a game, then he gets dropped for a couple. Mudryk will be the same. I do think there's something in that players will have less injuries if they just play consistently.
Okay. I think it's an interesting point. I'm not disagreeing, not at all. Right, we'll move to the Loan Army Carousel.
Come on, I've got to win this one.
You have to, because I'm keeping check now, and Berth is winning 6-4. Chris is on 0. So
I won last week, Mikey. What are you talking about? No one else was here.
No, it wasn't even a quiz.
Poll does not count.
I love the fact that Ollie usually wins back-to-back games until Berth turns up and absolutely destroys him. But
what happens is I just shit the bed and say something really stupid.
Ollie has the belt. Will he retain it? So the category. It's a game of categories. You all know that, listeners. So the category is the 2014 World Cup, which I feel really old. It's 10 years ago. Oh, that iconic ITV intro. Oh, anyway, Germany became that first European team to win a World Cup in the Americas when they won the 2014 tournament in Brazil. But can you remember their squad list? There was 23 names on that squad list. And I am going to go straight to, not the defending champion, I'm going to go to Chris. Can you name one?
Manuel Neuer.
Yes. I had to double check that. I panicked.
Jesus.
I was like, wait, was he there?
Tony Kroos.
Yes.
Thomas Muller.
Yes.
Schweinsteiger.
Yes.
Andreas Schürrle.
Yes.
Mesut Ozil.
Yes.
Oh, nice. Matt Hummels.
Yes.
Oh, that's a good one. He always played for Germany. Lucas Podolski.
Yep.
Philip Lahm.
Yep. I think he was captain.
Good player.
Sami Khedira.
Yep.
Oh, that's a great shout. Where's he pulled that from? Mertesacker.
Yep. I will allow people just to say the surnames because
Mario Götze.
he
Nice.
he scored, so yeah, he's definitely there.
Someone who didn't have the career they should have. Julian Draxler.
Yes.
That was going to be.
Well, now we're down to the tough ones, I'd say.
I'm going to go with Boateng.
Jerome is on there.
Yeah, not Kevin Prince, obviously.
No. Or George.
Miroslav Klose.
He was, yes. I think he broke the Ronaldo record in that World
Yeah,
Cup.
what a player.
Howardez.
Yes.
Great shout.
I'm
Oh,
just
there's
trying to.
six
I'm
left.
trying to remember. I'm trying to remember German centre backs from.
No,
FIFA
7.
14.
Sorry, there's 7 left. There's 7 left. Sorry.
7.
Isn't that one who was at Arsenal? Where did he go? Mustafi?
He's on there. I will be kind. No, I won't. I'll let Ollie think. I know because Chris didn't get a clue then. Let the...
Gnabry.
No, too early for Gnabry.
Chris, you've won. You've won.
Enough.
Yes,
Good
it.
run, Chris.
Oh,
Fair play.
you're on the
Good
board.
performance.
You could have had Christoph Kramer, Eric Durm, Kevin Grosskreutz, Matthias Ginter, Roman Weidenfeller, and Robert Zieler.
No, I wouldn't have got any of them.
They were the 2 goalkeepers.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you. That was the last one I had because I wouldn't have known any of them.
To be fair, when I did this myself, I think I didn't get Zieler and Kramer. I remember Durm because I think there was something like Huddersfield. There was like a random fact came up about him like being a World Cup winner at Huddersfield.
I remember I was literally the whole time just trying to harken back to my FIFA 14 days. I remember like playing as Germany and just
Bloody hell. Right, Chris on the board. It now sits 6-4 to 1. So he's
Comeback is on.
It's on. It's on.
You're doing a title charge.
He's doing a title charge. Right, listeners, treat yourself well. We're at the end of our episode. We'll be back on Monday. So till then, that'll be us signing off. You've been listening to At the Bridge Pod, a Chelsea FC podcast. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram by searching for At the Bridge Pod. And if you're listening on Apple or Spotify, leaving us a review is always appreciated.